What if the very first prophecy ever spoken in human history was spoken not to a prophet, not to a king, not even to a human being at all, but to a serpent? And what if that prophecy was about Jesus Christ thousands of years before he was ever born? And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Genesis 3:15. And in that single sentence, God announced the entire plan of redemption, before Adam and Eve had even left the garden. Now, theologians call this verse the proto-evangelium, which is a Latin word meaning the first gospel, the first announcement of good news in all of Scripture. And it is extraordinary that God spoke it here, in the darkest moment of human history, in the immediate aftermath of the fall, before the consequences had even been fully pronounced. Before Adam and Eve had been removed from the garden, God was already announcing that the story was not over and that he already had a plan to fix what had just been broken. The key phrase is her seed, and here is where it gets extraordinary from a historical and biological perspective. In the ancient world and throughout the entire Old Testament, lineage was always traced through the man, through the father's seed, never through the woman. So when God specifically said her seed, he was making a statement that would only make sense thousands of years later, when a virgin named Mary conceived a child without a human father, a child whose lineage could only be traced through the woman, because he had no earthly father at all. And then God described what this seed would do. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. The Hebrew word for bruise here is shak, which means to crush, to strike with decisive and fatal force. The serpent would strike the heel of the seed of the woman, a painful but non-fatal wound, and the seed of the woman would crush the head of the serpent, a fatal and decisive blow, a heel wound, a head wound, one temporary, one permanent. And every Christian who reads this verse sees in it the cross and the resurrection. Jesus wounded on the cross, but crushing the power of sin and death permanently 3 days later. The most devastating moment in human history, the fall of mankind in Genesis 3, contains inside it the first announcement of the most victorious moment in human history, the redemption of mankind through Christ, because that is who God is. He does not wait until things get better to announce his plan. He announces the solution in the middle of the problem, the victory in the middle of the defeat, the gospel in the middle of the fall. Subscribe to Proverbs and Purpose and leave a comment below. Did you know that the first prophecy about Jesus was spoken in Genesis 3? And what does that tell you about how God works?